Oh, my goodness. I just came from an Arctic habitat and I was not dressed properly. I think that I could have used my super big jacket to keep warm, maybe a hat and goggles and gloves and a scarf, because the Arctic habitat is very, very cold. Arctic habitats are very, very cold. I think the opposite of an Arctic habitat would be the desert, with the sand, lots of sun. Now, there's two different kinds of animals. Now, we're not going to talk about the desert habitat this week much at all, but we will use the desert habitat to compare or take a close look at the temperature, the kinds of animals, what the weather's like, what animals that live there look like, and what they're comfortable around. And can they get the things they need there, more importantly. So a plant in the desert that can survive for a long time with very little water, because the deserts are dry, is a cactus. A cactus has spiky things on the outside, spines, and these spines in this cactus plant, like I said, can live for a long time without water. It's very different from a rainforest that it rains almost every day. So a cactus wouldn't live there either, because it would die from getting overwatered or too much water. I have a cactus upstairs in my home, and I only can water it a little bit once a week. Usually plants like this, you have to water every day. And cactus is surrounded by animals in the desert that like the heat. I had a snake as a pet once, and I had to buy a rock in a store that had a plug. I plugged it in. It was called a heat rock. Because when those animals get cold, or to be comfortable, they put their belly on a hot rock that's been sitting in the sun. But I guess the pet store figured out that if you plug in a hot rock, it'll be the same thing. It'll warm the animal, and you can have it for a pet. Well, it's kind of a great idea. But I'm not here to talk to you about hot places. I'm here to talk to you about the Arctic, which is a very, very cold place. What kinds of animals live in the Arctic? Well, I'm going to show you one right now. This is the winter hare. I bring him up from time to time. He has really, really good ears. And when any kind of sound bounces off his ear, it actually acts as like a cone, and it bounces back inside to him so he can hear it very good. Also, what does it look like around him? Is there grass or water or sand? No, he's surrounded by snow. But the fur that he has, because he's a mammal and he was born and he drinks the milk from his mother, the fur keeps him very warm. That's a body covering that makes animals that live in that kind of habitat very comfortable. He's not going to be very cold. He's also going to survive nicely. He's not going to be, well, there are going to be other animals that are going to try to get him, but he's going to get away a lot of times and survive because he blends in with the background. When you blend in with the background, it's like protection. And keeping an animal safe in its habitat is a reason why an animal lives there. He can get water from some of the plants, and he can suck on leaves and get some of that water. He can also find different types of flowers and different types of insects and different types of things that he can eat. He can also build a den, just like a bear. But rabbits like digging holes under the ground and underneath tree roots, and then they make a little home underneath. Kind of nice idea, huh? Well, there you have it. What about the Arctic fox? There's a great Arctic fox video of this Arctic fox kind of walking along. And all of a sudden, he has big ears too. And those ears are very helpful for hearing things. And he can hear so carefully that the Arctic fox will creep over and he'll hear a small animal underneath the snow, like a mouse or something. And when he sees the small animal, oh, hold on a minute, it's under the snow, so he can't see it, he can only hear it, but he can hear exactly where it is. So what the Arctic fox tries to do is pounce. He takes all his energy, he jumps up in the air, and he goes down in the snow, deep in the snow. And he finds the food. I know he finds the food because not only did I see the YouTube video, but also he's living there still. And if an animal's able to live there for a long time, then that's a perfect habitat for them. All right? Now I'm going to move on to polar bears. We talked a lot about bears in ELA last week, but there's pictures of a polar bear swimming right near the icebergs. Now, you know what happens when you put ice cubes in your cold water. Man, it makes whatever you're drinking really, really cold. I like drinking ice water, but I don't like my bathtub to be filled with ice water. I also don't like a swimming pool to be filled with ice water. That's very uncomfortable. Well, I have skin. Pigs have skin. Elephants have skin, okay? An elephant lives in a very hot place. So he doesn't want to swim in the ice water either. But there are some animals, like a sea lion, like a whale, and like a polar bear, that have no problem at all swimming around in this really cold water. They also build their home in the snow. Now, I like going outside playing in the snow and put my snowsuit on. Then it gets all wet and I start getting a little uncomfortable. I come inside, I warm up, I put on dry clothes, and maybe have some hot chocolate. A polar bear can't do that. Never heard of a polar bear having hot chocolate, but a polar bear can't go inside to warm up. They need to continue living in this cold, cold habitat, okay? Now, they also have a special body covering, the fur. They have long hair and they have shorter hair. And there's a way that their hair works that they also have like a layer of something that whales have called blubber. Blubber is fat, but think of it as like a really thick jacket. Or some people you see divers wearing something called a wetsuit. Well, that suit makes your body warmer when it adjusts to the water. A wetsuit makes you able to swim in water that's a little colder than regular pool water or bath water. But a polar bear naturally has that. A sea lion naturally has that. They could just jump in freezing cold water and they're going to be just fine. There's nothing going to harm them. They can look for food in the water and kind of just swim around for a while for a fish. A polar bear might want to eat a sea lion for dinner. That's what they eat, other animals. So he may try to hide on an iceberg and wait for a sea lion to pop up. I don't know, but they have strategies for hunting different animals. And there's not a great deal. There's plants that, living things, like plants that are in the Arctic, but when you think about how cold it is there, some of these plants have to be able to live in very, very cold weather. So it has to be the right kind of plant, okay? Lots of pine trees can grow in very cold weather, with the conifer cones. But this Arctic habitat is a freezing cold place. There's lots of wonderful animals. Most of them have white fur, but some do not. The sea lion does not. The walrus does not. And these animals really enjoy living in this cold, cold place. Would I like living in the cold place like that? No. I need my own habitat, my home. Would the winter hare like living there? Yeah, no problem. He enjoys it. That's what he likes. He gets his food there. He gets water there. He gets protection there through some type of shelter. Like I said, lots of times they build a den underneath the snow. Now, if they're underneath the snow trying to get warm and an animal's walking past, is he going to see them? No, so they're going to be safe from predators too. That's it for today, boys and girls. I hope you enjoyed this little talk about Arctic animals. Just remember, it's a very cold place, and the plants and animals, I mean, it has to be just right for them to be able to live there, to survive there, and make a shelter there, make food, and get that fresh water. All right? Have a great day. I will see you tomorrow. Adios.